Hey tankers, what is up? This is Alexbuildit. Today we'll be taking a look at the SU-100Y. Beforehand, I wanted to apologize for not having a video out in the last little bit. I've been extremely busy with schoolwork, getting ready for the end of the year, going to go to college soon. Didn't really have time to anything until now, but I guarantee you I'm going to get right back into the swing of things, and as well as some 2.8 sneak peeks coming soon. Anyway, the SU-100Y is based off the experimental T-100 tank. The hull of it is the same, but not the top. The T-100 was scrapped because the commander would have too much difficulty coordinating firepower, and it was very complicated to use, but the chassis was used in the SU-100Y. In 1939, the Northwest Command of the Red Army requested that the No. 185 factory develop a vehicle based on the T-100 chassis, originally designed to have a 152mm gun, not unlike the SU-152 or the ISU-152, which will come later on. They decided eventually to give it a cannon that was used on some naval ships, a 130mm naval cannon. The idea was accepted, and on January 8, 1940, the plans of the T-110 were finalized and sent to the Izorski factory. The T-100X had a box-shaped fighting compartment and was equipped with a 130mm B-13 naval gun. For mobility, they kept the torsion bar suspension system, as was the trend in modern tanks of that day and age. Never saw combat, it was deemed too heavy and too impractical for use. The tank is on display even today at the Kubinka Tank Museum in Russia, and you can still see that even today. It's a monster of a tank. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this tank in game. It is a Tier 6 Russian premium tank destroyer. It does cost some gold, but it is 100% worth it. You're not going to have a very high camo value. You're going to be spotted from afar. This thing is absolutely huge. Let's take a look at my loadout. I carry adrenaline, multi-consumable, and extra combat rations. This thing has a weird quirk. The AP types, the second kind of AP is lower penetration but higher damage. I load a lot of that. You'll be using that mostly. I also load a lot of HE because the HE actually has decent penetration values. Unsurprisingly, for equipment, I carry a large caliber tank gun rammer, gun laying drive, and of course, vents. Now let's take a look at what this tank is good and bad at.
Now it's time to find out in which you excel. What makes you SPECIA?
Thanks to the Tier 8 engine, this tank is actually relatively mobile. It can reach about 38 kilometers per hour and hold it. The traverse speed is really low, only 30 degrees per second, so plan ahead. The armor is only 60mm thick at its thickest, which is not decent at all. You're going to be penetrated and destroyed by most things that hit you. However, what's good about this? The huge caliber. It's a huge caliber for Tier 6. It'll cause massive damage, it'll destroy modules left and right, and the high explosive is enough penetration to actually be decent against a lot of things, like right there, easy 600-ish damage. Absolutely phenomenal. You do have to let your shots aim in a bit though, as the gun will be slightly inaccurate if you're not careful. Our first game today is going to go ahead and be on Oasis Palms. A really decent matchup. I am top tier, and I am ready to rock people's worlds. At the beginning of every match in this tank, I automatically load premium ammo. Why would I do this? It's because the premium ammo actually has less penetration but more damage. I want to be able to switch to something that has higher penetration, just as like it's sort of like a habit. I know it will also do less damage when it switches to normal AP, but it's a given. Something you just have to work with. I am willing to take more damage for less penetration any day, which is why I load 12 of these rounds. It costs 4,000 credits apiece. Like right here, I'm just waiting to see if there's any light tanks that are going to pop over the ridge, see if there's going to be anyone scouting. The penetration is decent enough for most matchups. It's very high penetration value. Oh, looks like there's someone trying to sneak up, and what do I see? It is a very weak armored tank. Switch to high explosive, let it aim in, try to get a decent shot. As soon as I feel confident, I fire, and look, in one shot, he's basically down and out for an entire match. And what to my wondering eyes is this but another chance to use high explosive on a T-25. I fire, and boom, one shot, and he is out. In the opening stages, I've already done more damage than the tank has HP. letting this shot aim in, seeing if I can maybe help out this tank. It looks like it's being circled, but it looks like he probably knows what he's doing and has it under control. And he pops out. I think about taking a shot, and that's one reason why you want to aim your shots. As you see, if I had actually aimed in, I would have done a bit better. The dispersion in aim time, the dispersion is actually not all that great. When you fire it, you want to make sure you're at least 3/4 of the way aimed in to accurately hit your target. High explosive, just because I know it'll do enough damage to do that. Some things you should know about this tank are that the gun depression is actually quite lousy. You have to plan ahead. The gun elevation is fine. You can use this for going over hills and be able to shoot up a little. The enemy teams you see just absolutely got wrecked, didn't even have a chance. I switched to premium ammo just because it'll do a bit more damage and that target's easy to destroy. Now switch back to normal ammo because it's not worth wasting around. I should have aimed in that shot, I missed. What was good about that round was those first two shots. They absolutely changed the start of that matchup. Back into the matchmaking queue, we're going to see what happens. It looks like I'm going to be top tier again at Black Goldville. During the +1 -1 matchmaking experiment, this tank was an absolute beast. Beast, I tell you. This thing would wreck whatever I went up against. I managed to get a good enough record that I am number 2 NA in this tank. I absolutely adore it. I absolutely think that you should be getting one too. It's just a good tank all around. It's lots of fun to play.
Time to roll out.
I am going left instead of going up the hill. That way I can provide cover to my teammates from afar. As long as my shots are aimed in well, they will probably connect with the target and do what I need them to do. I'm also going left just to discourage any flankers from coming this way. I'm taking a look at the team composition. I actually recognize one of these players from last battle on the enemy team, and I am betting he's going to do the exact same thing he did last game, flanking through the town. We will see if he manages to do that. I stop real quick, see if my forces manage to see anyone on the hill. Is there anyone I can help out with? Again, I load premium ammo at the start. Always start with premium ammo. That way, if you need more penetration, you don't actually get less by switching to Pramo. Perfect target. I see a chance for a high explosive. It was just a small area though, so I stick with premium AP. I fire. Absolutely wrecked that guy in one shot. His game has just been absolutely ruined. He was knocked out from one other shot from the tank, and it's time to move in. Looks like that same player I saw last game was right there. Now this is why this tank is so overpowered. Now watch this. Think about using high explosive in sight against it. I used Pramo, and in one shot, he is gone. I didn't even have to use high explosive. It was just one shot knockout. This thing has somewhat tier 10 damage per shot at tier 6. It's absolutely amazing. Not unlike the KV-2. But the KV-2 has longer aiming times, longer reload times, but it can do more damage. This thing is just decent all around. I have no complaints at all for this tank. I rushed a shot. It didn't actually harm me in the long run. Managed to get that through. Still using my Pramo to make sure I do more damage. Switched to high explosive because I might be able to get the side of that leopard. I decide to go after the person who I can actually chase down because he's not paying attention. And he gains my flank, but I am trying to get behind that M4. The M4 dies. And I'm going to go ahead and try to get behind the VK 36.01. Moving around to this huge oil canister, I have my premium AP loaded. Find the rear. Aim. I decided to go up to the leopard instead because he was being annoying. Land a very decent shot right into him. And his game is now going to be extremely difficult to recover. He is a one-shot from most tanks. Even if you only get about 2 shots off with premium ammo, think you just did the amount of HP that your tank has, 900. If you do 900 damage, then you've done more damage than the HP of your tank, and you will have been worth something to your team. At the very least, in any game, try to do the same amount of damage as your tank has. As much HP as your tank has, I would say. Like if you have 1200 HP, try to do at least 1200 damage at the very least, which means you are worthwhile to your team. Get behind this guy, fire just like that. This tank is an absolute beast. Get behind people, absolutely wreck them, and keep moving is the name of the game. Now on this match, I went ahead and skipped the rush up the hill because that part was boring. Coming over, looking for a shot, I have high explosive loaded. See a Cromwell, see a VK, I missed that shot, and I should have aimed in right there. Just an experiment of why you should always let your shots aim in with this tank, at least 3/4 of the way or to where you feel comfortable with it. Think about firing high explosive again. It goes through. It does a whole bunch of damage. Makes them a one-shot for my allies. I need to retreat and reload. As you see, I'm playing second line combat. What second line combat means is that there's someone else in front of me to take damage. They should be looking at the guy in front of me, and not me myself. Like right here, there's an M4A3E8. I make sure I have premium ammo loaded, fire a shot and do a whole bunch of damage, and retreat because this guy on my right has gained my side. Remember, you don't have a lot of armor. You gotta play this tank rather carefully. With premium ammo loaded, I'm going to go ahead and really remember that high explosive can penetrate the Cromwell's frontal lower plate. You can penetrate with high explosive its frontal lower plate. That's crazy. I reload, trying to hide. If they had rushed me right there and gained my flank, that would have been it for me. But they decide to stay in place. What is with that? Go ahead and fire. I almost had him knocked out. I should have used premium ammo. I thought that normal ammo would do the trick. It didn't quite do it. I should have been safe than sorry there. Moving out, trying to keep up with the Cromwell. Come on, fire, fire, fire. I decided not to fire. I would have wasted that shot. Our team wins anyway. Just so much fun to play. Again, even if you only get off about 3 rounds, you still have helped your team out immensely if they all penetrated and did a lot of damage. Now I'm going to show you this tank's value as a sniper. Being afar, you really have to aim those shots in all the way. At close range, you could probably afford to only aim in about 3/4 of the way. But at very long ranges, aim in your shots entirely unless you're forced to snap a shot, which I do not recommend in a tank with this. I want everyone to go windmill. I'm going to take the sniper spot on the right, the second hill, not the first hill, because it gives me a better vantage point of the mill at the top where I can start firing crazy huge shells. 130 millimeters. Think this is actually a cannon used on a naval ship. That's how huge this gun is. And if you see it in real life, it is absolutely a monster. It dwarfs a human. And to think, I really wish they'd introduced the T-100 that this tank was based off of, the chassis. That'd be a lot of fun to play a multi-turreted tank. I think I, for one, would definitely buy it, even if it was a premium tank. And if they made the multi-turreted tank line like the T-30 that the Soviets originally designed, but scrapped, this would be a lot of fun. First target. I need to let that shot aim in. Like I said, I wait till it's almost perfectly aimed in, and he backs up at the second I fire, forcing me to miss that shot. I must go ahead and reload. The reload time is manageable. It's not anything special. It's not going to be like a comment where you're going pew, 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 pew. It's sort of like you have to wait a little bit until your shells are ready to rock and roll. Just waiting to see if anyone else is going to get spotted up there. Surprisingly, they did not send a lot of people up there. On my mini-map, I noticed that there's a few more people on my right, and this is why this tank is boss. 130 millimeters for the win. Fire and ammo rack. And that's basically the gist of this map. Unless I'm flanked and I have to defend my rear, I will just keep reloading and firing shells into the exposed sides. Unfortunately, someone does pop up in my rear, and where I am, I'm such a huge target that if I get lit up on that slope, I guarantee you I'll take like 2 or 3 shots. Make sure I have premium AP loaded, fire, and a boom! One big old hole right through that tank. Get that thing reloaded. I'm kind of taking cover behind this little hill. Looking at just that top if I must. Looking for a shot, and he bounces it. I should have used the normal AP if I wanted guaranteed to go through, but I always play just a little bit risky by loading premium AP. Churn, 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 and boom! There's one more shot, and it's an ammo rack. 2 ammo racks in a row. This tank has probably gotten more ammo racks than any other tank I own, minus the Tankenstein, and the only reason I've gotten so many ammo racks in that one is because I mounted the naval cannon, which is also the 130 millimeter. So you can actually have the same gun on another tank, Tankenstein, if you actually have that tank. And it looks like my team is basically just doing Operation Pickup over here. Everyone's just getting wrecked who's actually being seen. I decided to reverse up the slope, see if I can't get a shell into that Panther's turret. I have to make sure the shell's mostly aimed in. I actually let it fully aim in. I fire, it goes through, it does a whole bunch of damage, and I get reloading. And what am I wondering, guys, is this? But an SP-1C, and I know it only with the 15 millimeters of armor that whatever I fire, it's gonna go through with HE, but someone else manages to get the kill. Now I load in with high explosive, look for the shot, it misses. Now the side of that J-Panther, I guarantee you a high explosive will penetrate. He's on an angle, it's a perfectly flat side of a Jag Panther, And let me tell you that the high explosive has very, very decent penetration, which is why I might even carry a few more than 2 rounds. At this distance, the accuracy isn't all that great. It's almost as far as a shot as you can get in Blitz. A very, very decent game. 2 ammo racks. Just getting even a few shells in is enough to help your team through most items. Now we're going to take a look at a mastery gameplay. We are going to be on Lost Temple. I am low tier out of 7. And remember, with +2, -2 matchmaking back, we don't know if it's permanent yet or not, but with that back, it will see some tier 8s. I think as long as you use some more of regular AP rather than premium AP, you'll do fine. You may end up doing a little bit less damage or more damage, but you have to play a bit more cautiously, a bit further back. If you play like this, I guarantee you, you will do well. It's a rather cheap premium tier 6. If you have extra money, I would definitely consider giving this or the D-Max. The D-Max is a lot of fun to play. It's just a totally different playstyle though. One's a legit sniper, and this just plays sorta close up in low tier matches when it's against tier 7s. A tier 6, it can actually play up front as long as you have a cover to reload behind. And when it's tier 8, you really kind of have to say third line support, where you have at least 1 or 2 other tanks in front of you that the enemies will be focused on. Hop around the corner. Seeing what's what. Looking. I could have gone right around the pedestal, but I figured this might just be a little bit safer. Pop the corners. Anyone over here? Anyone at all? Playing just a bit cautiously. And then I decided something you should never do. I rushed the enemy position. I was not really paying attention to my surroundings. No one had really gotten spotted. I moved all the way over towards the enemy spot. And then I realized that most of them have flanked. I honestly should have stayed in the same position I was all I'd have to do is turn, and I could have adequately dealt with what I had going. Instead, now I get sidetracked by having, I believe, a Tankenstein right there. Now, I have to aim for the top hatch with premium AP, but with normal AP, I can penetrate cheeks if I get a side if he angles it. I actually ignored the Tankenstein. I am just trying to get to a spot where I can actually help out on the flank. I am actually thinking about shooting through a wall right there and hit a shot. Decent damage, but it's time to back up. I bounce a shot. Very lucky considering I only have 60mm of armor. I take a shot. It goes right through. Damages me. There's a Tankenstein. I load premium. I aim. Make sure it's close enough in. Do a whopping 400 damage. And get that gun reloading. Taking cover behind this little pagoda as I reload the cannon. It's very essential I don't miss any shots right now. He can one-shot me if he has a naval cannon, which he does not. He gets caught on fire. Lucky shot. Ends him. The huge caliber at tier 6 is just overpowered. Honestly, this tank kind of almost needs a nerf. It's so much fun to play. Aim in, and fire another shell. Another premium round just in. I just gonna keep whamming them with amazing amounts of hit points lost. I take a hit. I can't take really too much more of this. Sort of backing up, figuring out what's what, who's who, what's going where. Backing up so he can't hit me. With such a tall tank, I really have to back up fast, otherwise he'll manage to pen the roof. Or very close to the roof. I move into the cap. They know where I am. I'm not really the best strategy, but I need to get around the other side so I at least have some small element of surprise. And now I get very lucky shortly. Not this shot. This shot was easy. A VK 30.01. I actually load high explosive and I hit the rock in front of it, but that's flat side. It honestly would have gone through and done about 500 damage, which would have been really, really decent. I reload now, and there's really no need to use high explosive. Might as well go with something I know will work. I get lucky. I pop a shot off a millisecond before he would have finished me off. Backing up, see what's what, where's where, what's where. I decide I'm going to go around the pillar this side. Now an issue you're going to have in this tank, your camouflage is horrible. He sees me, he fires, and luckily, somehow, my 60mm of armor managed to bounce the shell. Very, very lucky. It's time for me to reload, taking cover behind the pagoda. Make sure the shell's reloaded. Always take cover in between shells. Looks like they got some attacks going on the left. I move forward, seeing what's going on. Very cautious. I should not have done this. I should have waited, and I end up paying the price. I'm spotted, and boom. Just like any second. I know I'm spotted. I'm backing up. couldn't see who it was, and my teammates managed to finish off the last 2 remaining guys. Took the Allies a while, so I cut out that footage. It took them all the way up to the very last second, which is crazy. Anyway, 3,150 damage, mastery badge, did more damage than almost my whole team combined, absolutely crazy. 130mm naval gun on a tank, this is out of this world. Get the SU-100Y, guys, it's just really, really decent, totally worth it in my opinion. Anyway, stay tuned to my channel, I'm going to be doing videos a bit more frequently, watch for those 2.8 sneak peeks, and they are coming soon. Alexbuildit out, Blitz on, tankers. If you enjoyed the review, consider liking and commenting, and subscribing really helps the channel out. Adios, tankers.